Hello, hi-fi people. Tannoy Stratford from 1983. That's what I'm going to review today. British company, big box sound, 8-inch driver, horn-loaded tweeter. Actually not a top-of-the-range thing or a very expensive thing, even in the day when it was made, but a speaker that will give you something for your money. It will give you certain things in abundance, like scale, detail, and some nice, pretty good bass, you know. So this is in the world, getting into the world of what I call big box bass, you know, where the bass seems separate and alive and it's doing its own thing. It doesn't feel attached to the mid-range and the treble. This is something that seems to happen when speakers get bigger, and I really, you know, that's a big plus for me. And this just gets into that category. So let's just say, you know, 8-inch bass driver. This is a horn loaded tweeter, so I think it means the tweeter is at the back, and then you've got about 30 mil, just over an inch of the horn, yeah, to you know, to spread it out and whatever the horn does, you know. But as opposed to a dome tweeter, that is actually plastic, yeah. This cone is plastic. One good thing about that is it's quite resilient, yeah. It gives it resilience, a longevity also, I would say. Now, funny things happened. Well, I've got this plaster here. There's a reason for that. I'll show you that in a sec. I forgot that was there. I got these speakers. I turned them on. I thought, this is a big, bright, detailed, maybe a little bit edgy sound. It sounds a little bit sort of too mid-rangey. Anyway, I thought I'm going to rotate this bass driver, which I always do that, and tighten up the screws. Big plus. Keep those screws tight. Rotate that old bass driver if you can. Doesn't really matter about the tweeter. Keep it tight, but I don't think it matters to rotate it. So I opened that up and I looked in, and you know what I had was wadding or insulation just attached to the walls. Nothing in the main body of the box. Now I couldn't figure out, I couldn't find on the internet photos of what this is meant to look like. But I started to think someone's removed the wadding or some of the major part of the loose wadding from inside here. So I thought, well, I'm going to put some in, you know. So I did literally fill about half of this box with wool, which is what they, you know, which I've got from some old speakers. That's what they used to use in the 60s, you know. And I got to say, I'm calling it a win-win. I mean, I don't know what inside of a Tannoy Stratford looks like, but I swear this was a better sound. The mid-range was too more clanky, too present, too forward. It wasn't being damped, you know. So anyway, I'm guessing I'm right. I might be wrong, but it was a win as far as I could tell. Now, here's the interesting thing, what this plaster is doing on here, right? This is what I used to do when I was a kid, when I had all kinds of mad speakers, some kit, and I was always trying to tweak sound, right? Now, these speakers initially, I thought they were too bright, and this horn tweeter can get edgy, you know. So what I've done here, and I've done this before in the past, you know, is I'm just putting that plaster across there to literally reduce the total amount coming out of this tweeter. Now, I then laughed at myself and I thought, Kelvin, you could just turn the treble down. What are you doing? Right? But it's not. It is not the same as turning the treble down. If you turn the treble down, you're lowering all the high frequencies, yeah? And what I'm doing here is just reducing the amount of it. So, you know, if it's the 100%, I'm now, you know, by having that soft material there to absorb the sound, which I'm sure it's not doing perfectly, but I'm absorbing some of it, but it's still maintaining what it is frequency wise. It makes the mid-range more solid. It obviously can reduce the treble. I mean, I'm not saying you should try and do this. Most times, if you've got good speakers, there's no way you should be needing to do this. But if you have a very bright room like wood, or, you know, tiled floors, very reflective, and you can pull this off yourself by, you know, just putting something soft in front of it. Could be a bit of sticky tape with cotton wool, or I used to hang a sock over the top, you know, just let half the sock hang down. Whatever way you do it, it can work. It can work. If your top end is too bright, and it isn't the same as reducing the treble, which is taking all the top frequencies down. So anyway, that's just a thing I used to do really when I was 20, 25, messing around with speakers that weren't very good, or there was something a bit wrong with them, or, you know, my system was a bit cheap, and I'd try it all sorts of things. But I'm not knocking that as a thing, and I actually have had this on most of the time, and I think I prefer it in this room now. So, you know, you make of that what you will, but don't break your tweeters and don't get sticky stuff on them. Be very careful if you're going to do it, but I'd say it does have a place in the world of hi-fi tweaking. Okay, quickly, amplification. These speakers, vintage speakers, what you want. I mean, I tried a bunch of amps. I landed up with my big Akai AM74, 100 watts of good grippy bass power, and pretty smooth and not harsh in the top end at all. This is the kind of vintage speaker. You need to get it round the neck, give it some power, go push that sound out. I'm pushing it right through. You're just, you know, I'm going to overpower any shortcomings in you. I'm just going to blast you with controlled power. I don't think you'd have a problem putting 100, 150 watts into these. They seem fine, you know, but it's either got to be powerful, it wants to be smooth, it doesn't want to be like a trashy vintage, sharp, whatever name you want to call it. I wouldn't have an old Marantz, a bit sharp. So it wants to be smooth and powerful. And then you're going to get something good out of these that hardly cost any money. These cost me £105 delivered, yeah, on eBay. And I think that's around, you should find them for that £125. It'll be a real bargain. Let's do the sound. Okay. Bass. It's got some nice bass. It's got an 8-inch bass driver. The box is not big, but it's got a nice, you know, in the room, visceral bass. You'll get some visceral bass. That Alison Krauss Gravity song, 1 minute in, there's 1 minute and 5 seconds in, I think, some big bass notes come in. Gorgeous. Nice. Better than the ELACs. I'm playing the ELAC debuts, which I don't really like. Just miles bigger and better, particularly in the bass area. So bass is pretty good. It's in the room. It's got some welly, you know, and it's got some freedom. It feels free and articulate, you know. The box isn't huge, but it's getting into that big box world, that big box sound. Okay, mid and top. Snare drums, which I'm mad about, just fine. Most of the mid-range stuff, pretty damn fine. If you play these too loud, it can get shouty. You know, this is the thing. This is not, you know, Tannoy's top of the range speaker, you know. It was kind of a cheapish speaker, but, you know, you've still got 8-inch driver, decent sized box. It's giving you something, but it's not, so, you know, this is not real studio Tannoy monitor stuff, by the way. So watch it if you're gonna go. Not really for blasting loud. It's not that good, but medium, okay levels. You know, really nice. Mid-range, nice. Top end. Certain things with this. Let's take that off. Certain things with this horn tweeter sound great, like the bell of a cymbal, because it's that acousticness, and somehow this horn effect makes that acousticness just lovely, you know. So cymbal, bells, not necessarily the psh of a cymbal. We'll get to that in a sec. The bell of a cymbal, guitars, conga, bongos, sound like that. Really nice. Do this really nice, quite forward, quite big, alive. The air is alive with these speakers, yeah? That's why I kind of like them. They got that air is alive in the room attack. You're not struggling to go, oh, where's that instrument gone? You're not doing that. It's giving you everything, you know. Might be a bit brash, little bit brash. You need to tame it. Nice amp and nice source, but it really will deliver you something pretty good if you do that. Let's just do the top end, yeah, the real top end. I mean, the real fine bits. Kind of, this is kind of orientated towards the treble, going up quite high, but not the real sheen, not the real psh, like the cymbal psh, disappearing slowly off into a space. It doesn't do that very fine top end very well, or really do it. But you're very involved in all the other stuff. You kind of aren't noticing it, you know. But yeah, I think this horn tweeter, that's the thing about horn tweeters. If, you know, a dome tweeter would just do that top end teeny detail better. It's not kind of playing out perfectly with this thing. So, what would I say? Would I want this speaker? What I want to say, I don't want to answer that question here, because I want to say this speaker's a real bargain and it's a good thing. I'm too much of a hi-fi nut to put up with just the slight edginess of this. And I do mean slight. And I sort of feel like if I gave or sold these speakers to someone or a friend of mine, they'd probably go, oh, they're great. They're big, they're alive, you know, they're in a big enjoyable sound, you know. But I'm going to say, if you asked me, I'd say I probably won't have them or let them go, because I'm too much of a fusspot. But I think they're a real bargain, and they give you something, you know. This is the thing with speakers. This gives you something visceral, in the room, detailed, a live sound, which, you know, a lot of little speakers that we get nowadays for £200 or £300, this would just, you know, kick them out of the room. You know, if I did a comparison with this and whatever they are, AV, what are they? What am I trying to think of? Anyway, you know, those lots of these little speakers. Most of the general public, if I did an A/B comparison, would go, "Oh, this, I'm feeling the music here. It's in the room. It's alive. It's with me." I did compare these to the ELAC, what is it, Debut 2.0. These are the ELAC sound laid back and a bit duddy in the middle compared to these, and these had more bass impact, much more mid, and probably brighter in the treble, and the elacs were just smoother and politer. They were maybe more utterly refined, but they just were too laid back for me, you know. It just like wasn't in the room, you know, and it wasn't giving me anything. These were giving me something. Okay, I hope I made that clear. Lots more reviews on my channel if you like, and I do reviews every week. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye now.